I'll double this paycheck, I swore. Instead, I burned $3,700 and had to borrow for groceries. My name is Marcus. I'm an accountant who used to calculate everything twice. Now I count quarters for bus fare and sleep in my car. 6 months ago, I had a house with a swing set and a daughter who believed in my promises. It started with overtime money I wanted to grow. Thursday nights became my secret. I won early, too much, too fast. That first 800 made me feel like I'd cracked a code. Then March came and the math turned mean. I started bringing rent money. I told myself it was investing, not gambling. My wife's texts went unanswered. My lucky dealer stopped making eye contact. The night I put $3,700 bills on the table, everyone knew what they were for. But I couldn't stop. I had to make it right. Let me take you through that last Thursday, when my system was perfect and my daughter's birthday was tomorrow. When a careful man bets his family's roof on one more hand, who really pays? Him or the child waiting at home? My name's Ray, and I dealt blackjack at the Riverside Casino for 7 years before I finally walked away. Every Tuesday through Saturday, 6 to 2 in the morning, I stood behind table 7 in my polyester vest and clip-on bow tie, dealing cards that changed people's lives. The job paid $18 an hour plus tips, and I needed every dollar. My daughter Emma had been sick since she was 4. The kind of sick that comes with specialists and medications that insurance companies like to argue about. That February night in 2002, when Marcus Chin first walked up to my table, I was doing math in my head like I always did between shuffles. Emma's new prescription, $340 this month. Her appointment next week, probably another $200 after insurance. The MRI they wanted to schedule, don't even think about it yet. I smiled at the tourists sitting down, explained the table minimum was $15, and kept dealing. Marcus appeared around 8:30, standing back from the table first like newcomers do, watching a few hands before committing. Clean pressed shirt, gray slacks, the kind of watch that said middle management but not executive. When he finally sat down, he pulled out his wallet carefully, counted 4 $50 bills twice before sliding them forward. First time? I asked, though I already knew. No, I've played before. He arranged his chips in neat stacks of 5. Just not here. Wife's at book club. I dealt the cards. Marcus got a 9 and a queen, 19. I showed a 6. He stayed, which was the right play. I flipped my whole card, a 10, then pulled a 9. Bust. His shoulders relaxed as I paid out his chips. See, the woman next to him, Dolores, had been coming here longer than I'd been dealing. Ray's a good dealer. Gentle hands. Marcus smiled, a real smile, not the nervous kind most people wear their first night. He played smart for the next hour, following basic strategy like he'd studied it. When he got dealt 2 aces against my 5, he split them without hesitation. Drew a 10 on one, a 9 on the other. Both winners. Look at that, Dolores said. Natural talent. The dangerous thing about early luck is how it rewrites your brain. I watched it happen to Marcus in real time. His breathing changed. He stopped checking his watch. When he hit blackjack on a $25 bet, and I counted out $37.50 in winnings. His whole face lit up like Emma's when her fever finally breaks. This is incredible, he said, stacking his chips. They made that soft clicking sound that hooks people, plastic hitting plastic like expensive applause. Monica, our pit boss, wandered over during the next shuffle. She had a radar for new players with money. Everything good here, Ray? All good. I finished the shuffle, offered Marcus the cut card. I should probably go, Marcus said, but he was already putting chips in the betting circle. Maybe just a few more hands. By 10 o'clock, he was up $180. Not a fortune, but for someone playing $25 hands, it felt like one. He tipped me $20 when he colored up, changing his chips back to cash. Same time next week? He asked. I'm here Tuesday through Saturday. I mean, will you be at this table? Table 7. That's my spot. Marcus left with cash in his pocket and that look I'd seen 1,000 times. The one that said he'd found something special, something other people didn't understand. I dealt to the remaining players, went on break at 11. Ate a granola bar in the employee break room while Tommy bragged about some whale who dropped $5,000 at his table. My phone had 3 texts from the babysitter. Emma was asking for me. Temperature of 100.2, not quite hospital bad, but close. I told her I'd be home by 2:30. Give Emma the pink medicine from the top shelf. When I got back to my table, Monica pulled me aside. That new guy, Marcus? I ran his info. Credit score in the 700s, owns a house in Fairfield. Exactly the kind of regular we want. I nodded and got back to dealing, but something cold settled in my stomach. Monica was right. Marcus was exactly the kind of player casinos love: steady job, good credit, just enough money to lose slowly. The next hand I dealt was a player's 20 against my 21. The guy cursed, knocked the table, walked away. I swept his chips into the tray and called out the magic words that kept everything legal and recorded. Black action, table 7. Marcus would be back next week. They always came back after a night like that. Thursday arrived with rain that turned the casino parking lot into a mirror. I watched from the employee entrance as Marcus's Honda Accord pulled into the same spot he'd used Tuesday, 3 rows back, under a light. He was 45 minutes earlier this time, carrying a leather portfolio like he'd come straight from work, my table. Dolores was already settled in her usual spot, in seat where she could see everyone coming and going. She'd been retired for 3 years, she told anyone who'd listen, and the casino was her social club. 20 here, 40 there, never more than she brought. Never less than 2 hours of conversation. Your boy's back, she said when Marcus walked up that he'd changed into a fresh shirt. Cologne trying to cover the smell of a long day in an office. This time he bought in for 400, laying the 20s out so I could count them for the cameras. His wedding ring caught the light as he pushed the bills forward. Got a bonus at work, he said. Figured I'd celebrate. The kid next to him, barely 21 from the look of his driver's license that security had definitely checked, whistled. 400? Man, I'm here with 40 bucks and a dream. Marcus laughed, the kind of laugh that wanted everyone to know he could afford this. You gotta spend money to make money, right? Wrong, but I didn't say that. I dealt the cards. Marcus had come prepared. He pulled out a laminated basic strategy card, the kind they sell in the gift shop for $4.99. Smart players use them. Addicts memorize them, then ignore them when the feelings get too strong. Insurance? I asked when I showed an ace. Marcus checked his card, shook his head. Good choice. Insurance is a sucker bet unless you're counting cards, which Marcus definitely wasn't. That I had blackjack anyway. The table groaned. Marcus pushed another $25 chip forward, checking his card again. Queen 7. He stayed against my 10. I flipped a 6, pulled a 5. 21 again. Jesus, the kid said. You're killing us, Ray. But Marcus just smiled, pushed forward another bet. Law of averages, he said. Dealer can't win forever. Except the house edge doesn't care about forever. It cares about every hand, grinding out its percentage point by point. But then Marcus's luck turned, the way luck does sometimes. Just often enough to keep people believing in it. He doubled down on 11 against my 6 and caught a 10. Winner. Split 8s against my 5. Got a 3 and a 10, doubled the first one and caught a 9. Winner and winner. The chips started piling up in front of him, blacks mixed with greens now, and his phone started buzzing on the rail beside his chips. Jennifer? Dolores asked, because she'd been here long enough to recognize the pattern, the spouse calling. Wondering about dinner, about time, about where exactly their husband was. Marcus turned the phone face down. She knows I'm out with clients. The kid snorted. Clients. That's good. I'm going to use that. My daughter's starting piano lessons, Marcus said, to no one in particular, stacking his chips higher. 60 bucks an hour. Can you believe that? For piano? I dealt another hand. Marcus had 200 in the betting circle now, his biggest bet yet. Pair of 10s against my 6. The card said stand. Marcus stared at his 20s, then at my 6. You know what? He pulled out another 200 in chips. I'm splitting them. Never split 10s. Every beginner knows that. You've got 20, you stand. But Marcus was writing something now. That feeling when the universe seems to be telling you yes. First 10 drew a king. 20. Second 10 drew an ace. 21. I flipped my cards. 15. Hit. 9. Bust. The table erupted. Dolores clapped. The kid reached over to high-five Marcus. For $100, pushed back across the felt toward him. And his whole body changed, shoulders back, chin up, like he'd just solved world hunger. Lily's whole summer camp right there, he said, pulling the chips toward him. One hand. His phone buzzed again. This time he picked it up, read the text. His expression shifted for just a second, guilt maybe, or irritation, before he typed something back with one thumb. Everything okay? I asked while shuffling. Yeah, just, Jennifer worries. Thinks I work too much. Maybe she's right, Dolores said. My Harold, God rest him, worked himself into an early grave. Dropped dead at his desk, age 58. Marcus wasn't listening. He was counting his chips, doing math, seeing possibilities. He had about 1,100 in front of him now, up 700 from his buy-in. One more shoe, he said. Then I'll go. One more shoe. One more hand. One more spin. The three lies everyone tells themselves. Right after, I can stop whenever I want. By 11 o'clock, Marcus was up $600. Not the 700 he'd peaked at, but still good. The kid had busted out, replaced by a woman who reeked of cigarettes and disappointment. Marcus was teaching her about basic strategy now, the student becoming the teacher, drunk on expertise he'd had for exactly 1 week. His phone rang this time, not a text. Jennifer's name on the screen. I should take this, he said. But he didn't move. IT rang through to voicemail. Cash out, Dolores told him. Go home to your wife. Marcus looked at his chips, then at me, then at his cards. 16 against my 7. Hit me, he said. 0.5. 21. See, he pushed his winnings toward his stack. I know when to take risks. Monica appeared at my shoulder, the way she did when someone was winning too much or losing too fast. How's everyone doing tonight? Great, Marcus said too loud. Ray here's the best dealer in the place. We like to hear that. Monica's smile was pure customer service. Can I get you folks anything? Drinks? Food? I'm good. Marcus's phone lit up again. This time he didn't even look. I finished the shoe, started my shuffle ritual. 8 decks, riffle and bridge, cut and mix. Marcus watched my hands like he was trying to memorize something. You have kids, Red? He asked. 1 daughter. How old? 10. Lily's about to turn 12. They grow up so fast. He placed another bet, back to $25 now, conservative. That's why I'm here really. Everything costs so much. Dance, piano, soccer, tutoring. It never ends. I wanted to tell him it would end, faster than he thought, if he kept coming here. But I just dealt the cards and announced the totals and kept my mouth shut. That's what they paid me for. To deal, not to counsel. Marcus played until midnight, tipping me $50 when Monica finally suggested he might want to call it a night. He'd given back about 200 of his winnings, but was still up 400 overall. Same time next week. He asked, already knowing the answer. I'll be here. He walked out with cash in his pocket, but something else too. That hunger I'd seen so many times. The hunger that says 400 isn't enough, that there's more waiting, that next time he'll really show everyone what he's capable of. After he left, Dolores shook her head. That one's got the taste now. Maybe he'll be smart. I said. Maybe he'll stay away. Dolores laughed, the dry laugh of someone who'd seen it all. Honey, in 30 years, I've never seen anyone walk away after a night like that. He'll be back, and he'll bring more money. I cleaned up the cards, wiped down the felt. In the break room, I checked my phone. 3 texts from Emma's babysitter. Temperature holding steady, medication given, sleeping now. I texted back that I'd be home soon. Left out the part about the man I'd just helped feed an addiction that would probably eat him alive. That's the thing about dealing. You're not forcing anyone to play. You're just there, hands moving, cards falling, watching people make choices you know will hurt them. And you cash your paycheck because your own kid needs medicine, needs food, needs you to come home with money that came from someone else's mistakes. That Marcus's friend Dale would come in next week. Marcus would teach him all the wrong lessons. And I'd deal the cards that made it happen. Monica would count the take and smile. The casino would grow Richard. That's how it works. That's how it always works. Sunday morning hit different when you've been dealing cards until 2 a.m. My alarm didn't go off. It was Emma's voice. Scared and small, that woke me. Daddy, I don't feel good. 5:30. The sun wasn't even thinking about coming up yet. I found her in the bathroom, kneeling by the toilet, her little mermaid nightgown soaked with sweat. The new medication, the one that cost $340 and required prior authorization and 2 appeals to insurance, was coming back up, pink and foamy. It's okay, baby. Daddy's here. But it wasn't okay. Her temperature hit 103.2 on the first try. On the second, 103.4. I knew the protocol. Above 103, go to ER. Her immunologist had been clear about that. With her condition, we couldn't risk waiting. I bundled her in her frozen blanket, the one she'd had since she was 5, and carried her to the car. She weighed nothing, bird bones and fever dreams. The emergency room at Riverside General was 8 minutes away. I made it in 5 that the triage nurse recognized us. That's never a good sign. Emma Martinez. She was already printing the wristband. What's going on, sweetie? New medication reaction, I said. Started yesterday. Vomiting, fever. How high? 103.4 at home. She didn't make us wait. That's how I knew it was bad. When you skip the waiting room at a crowded ER, you're either dying or they think you might be. Doctor Patel was on duty, which was good. He knew Emma's history, knew her body fought itself more than any infection. While they got her started, I stepped into the hallway to call work. Monica answered on the 3rd ring, sounding irritated. Ray, you're supposed to be here I'm at the ER with Emma. I can't make it. Silence. Then, you know we're short-staffed on Sundays. My daughter's sick. Can't someone else? There is no one else. I watched through the window as they drew Emma's blood, her thin arms so pale under the fluorescence. I'll be back tomorrow if she's stable. Your regular was here asking for you. That Marcus guy? He lost big to Tommy. Something twisted in my stomach. But Emma was crying now, and the nurse was calling me back. I have to go. I hung up and went back to my daughter. Held her hand while they pushed fluids and anti-nausea medication through the 4. The financial counselor found me an hour later, while Emma was finally sleeping. Mr. Martinez, I need to go over your coverage. The papers she spread out might as well have been written in Sanskrit. Deductibles, co-insurance, out-of-network penalties. The bottom line was clear though, $3,200 for the ER visit. Maybe $800 after insurance if I was lucky. We can set up a payment plan, she said. The same thing she'd said the last 3 times. $50 a month minimum. I already had 2 payment plans with them. My credit cards were maxed. The title loan on my car had 2 payments left. I signed where she pointed and tried not to think about the math. Emma woke up around noon, finally keeping down some apple juice. The doctor wanted to admit her for observation, but I knew what that would cost. If her fever stays down, can we go home? Dr. Patel frowned. I'd prefer to keep her overnight. Her white count is concerning. What if I bring her back if anything changes? He knew what I was really asking. We'd done this dance before. Every 4 hours, he said. Temperature, fluid intake, any changes at all, you come back. And I want to see her in my office tomorrow. How much is? We'll figure it out. He squeezed my shoulder. The new medication might need adjustment. There's another option, but it's not covered. I know. I already asked. While they processed Emma's discharge, my phone rang. Carla. Ray? I heard Emma's in the hospital. How did you? But I knew. Small town. Someone always sees, always talks. Is she okay? She will be. Listen, about the child support. Mike lost his job. The plant closed. We're barely making rent. I watched Emma sleeping, the 4 still in her arm, the monitors still beeping. Carla, I can't. I know. I know you're doing your best. But maybe just for a few months? Until Mike finds something? I'll think about it. But we both knew I couldn't reduce it. Emma's medications alone were more than the support I sent Carla. The court didn't care that her new husband couldn't provide. The order was the order. How much is the hospital? Carla asked, softer now. I don't know yet. I'm sorry, Ray. I wish, yeah. Me too. After she hung up, I sat in the uncomfortable chair and did math on the back of Emma's discharge papers. My take-home after taxes, about $2,900 a month. Rent, $1,200. Emma's medications, $340. Utilities, car payment, insurance, food. The payment plans. There was never enough, even with good tip nights. Emma stirred. Daddy? Can we go home? Soon, baby. Why do you work at night? The question came from nowhere, the way kids' questions do. Because that's when my job needs me. What do you do? I'd avoided this conversation for years. I help people play card games. Like Go Fish. Kind of like that. Do they win? The honest answer was no. The house always wins. That's not a metaphor or bad luck. It's math. But how do you explain that to a 10-year-old? How do you tell her that daddy makes money from people's false hope? Sometimes they win, I said. That's good. Winning feels nice. The discharge nurse came with papers, instructions, prescriptions. Another $180 at the pharmacy, I calculated. I'd have to use the credit card I'd been saving for emergencies. Except everything was an emergency now. The parking garage wanted $12. I found exact change in my cup holder, nickels and dimes from a life measured in small denominations. Emma fell asleep on the drive home. I carried her inside, set her up on the couch with water and crackers and the remote. Then I listened to Marcus's voicemail. Ray, hey, it's Marcus. Marcus Chun. From Tuesday? I came in today, but you weren't there. That other dealer, Tommy? It wasn't good. I need to talk to you about something. About systems. I think I figured something out, but I need someone who understands the game. Call me back. His voice was different. Urgent. The voice of someone who'd lost more than they planned and needed to believe there was a reason. A system, a way to win it back. I deleted the message. Emma needed her medication every 6 hours. I set alarms, made a chart. Temperature checks every 4 hours. By evening, she was keeping down soup. Small victories. Daddy, she said during a commercial. Are you sad? Why would I be sad? You look sad when you come home from work. Kids see everything, even when they're sick, especially when they're sick. I'm not sad. I'm just tired. Maybe you should get a different job. A happy job. Maybe, I said, but we both knew I wouldn't. Couldn't. The casino paid better than anything else I was qualified for. And Emma needed things that cost money, medications, doctors, the chance at getting better. That night, after she was asleep, I stood in her doorway and watched her breathe. The medicine had stopped the fever, but for how long? The doctor wanted to try the expensive option, the one insurance wouldn't cover. $800 a month, he'd said, but it could change everything. $800 a month. That was 32 buy-ins at Marcus's table. 32 chances for someone to believe they could beat the math. My phone buzzed. Text from Monica. Your regular Marcus dropped $2K to Tommy. He's tilting bad. Might want to talk to him before he does something stupid. I turned off my phone. Marcus had already done something stupid. He'd walked into a casino believing he was different, special, lucky. Now he was learning what everyone learns eventually. The house doesn't care about your daughter's piano lessons or your overtime hours or your systems. The house just wants your money. And it's very, very patient. Tomorrow I'd go back to dealing. Marcus would probably be there, trying to win back what he'd lost to Tommy. I'd deal him cards. Take his money, smile like it was just a game. Because Emma needed medicine. And medicine cost money. And money came from people like Marcus who believed in luck more than math. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Every dealer knows it. Every casino counts on it. And every sick kid's parent learns to live with it. Monday night's shift started with Tommy holding court in the break room, describing Marcus's meltdown in detail. I ate my vending machine dinner, pretzels, and a Coke, while he bragged. Dude went full tilt, Tommy said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Started with hundreds, then moved to 500 a hand. You should have seen his face when I hit 21 4 times straight. Stephanie, dealing at table 3, shook her head. That's someone's rent money. Not my problem. Tommy unwrapped a protein bar. He's a grown man. I thought about Marcus's voicemail, the desperation creeping into his voice. $2,000. For someone making maybe 70 grand a year, that was real damage. He kept talking about his system, Tommy continued. Said his regular dealer understood it. That's you, right, Ray? I just deal cards. Well, he dropped 2 grand trying to prove math wrong. Tommy stood up, checked his watch. My table's open. Time to make some money. I followed him out, took my position at table 7. The usual Monday crowd, retirees, a few service industry workers spending their weekend tips, nobody I recognized. Good. Maybe I'd have a quiet night. Around 9, Dolores settled into her usual seat. Heard your friend had a rough Sunday. He's not my friend. Sure, honey. She put $40 on the felt. Change only, no play yet. Waiting for my coffee to kick in. I changed her bills, stacked the chips in front of her. The casino was quieter on Mondays, the desperation less thick in the air. Just people killing time. $20 here, $40 there. Nothing that would ruin anyone's life. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Against the rules to check it on the floor, but Monica was at the other end of the pit. Emma's babysitter, fever back. 100.8, gave medicine. Not hospital bad, but not good. I dealt the next hand, smiled at the winner, paid out chips, and tried not to think about Emma alone with a teenager who charged $15 an hour. You okay? Dolores asked. Fine. Liar. She placed a bet, finally ready to play. You got that look. Sick kid. Sometimes Dolores saw too much. She's okay. My grandson has asthma, she said. In and out of hospitals. Costs a fortune. I dealt her a 15. She stayed against my 10. I flipped a 7. Dealer has 17. Push, she said, pulling back her bet. You know what I learned? Money comes and goes. But time with them, that's what you can't get back. She was right. But philosophy didn't pay for prescriptions. I dealt another hand, then another. The mindless rhythm of it. Shuffle, deal, flip, pay, collect. A meditation in destroying people's hope. During my break, I called home. Emma answered, sounding congested, but okay. How you feeling, baby? Better. Watching SpongeBob. Temperature. Megan says 100.4. Going down. Good. I'll be home late. Take your medicine at 10, okay? Daddy? Can we get ice cream tomorrow? We'll see. After my break, I found an envelope in my dealer bank. My tips from the previous week, minus taxes. $627. Better than usual, thanks to Marcus's generosity. Blood money, really. Money he should have kept. AT11. Dale walked in alone. Marcus's friend from work, the one who'd asked smart questions. He stood at my table, nervous. You're Ray, right? Marcus's dealer. I deal to a lot of people. He said you were honest. Said you'd tell the truth about the game. I looked at Monica, busy with paperwork. What do you want to know? Is he in trouble? The honest answer was yes. The casino answer was that I couldn't discuss other players. I chose something in between. The house edge is about 0.5% with perfect play, I said, dealing to my other players while talking. That means for every $100, the casino expects to keep 50 cents. Doesn't sound like much, right? No, but nobody plays perfect. And nobody stops when they're ahead. The casino counts on that. Dale pulled out his wallet, looked at the ATM across the floor. He lost $2,000 Sunday. I heard. He's talking about taking a loan from his 401k. Says he can win it back. I finished the hand, collected the cards. He can't. But you've seen people win, right? Big wins. Sure. And I've seen them give it all back. Every time. Dale stood there, wallet in hand, deciding. Then he put it away. Thanks, he said, and walked out. Monica appeared instantly. What did he want? Directions to the bathroom. She studied me, knowing I was lying. Your friend Marcus called earlier. Wanted to know your schedule. He's not my friend. Well, he thinks you are. Be here Thursday. He specifically requested you. I wanted to say no, wanted to call in sick, wanted to be anywhere else. But Emma's medication was running low, and the refill would cost another $340, and my credit card was almost maxed. I'll be here. The rest of the shift blurred together. Cards and chips and the constant sound of hope dying. At 2 a.m., I cashed out, drove home through empty streets, found Emma asleep on the couch with the TV still on. Her forehead was cool. The medicine was working. For now, I carried her to bed, tucked her in, watched her breathe. Then I sat at the kitchen table with my tips, counting 20s and 10s and 5s. $627. Enough for medications, maybe groceries, part of a payment plan. Not enough for the better medicine. Never enough for that. Thursday, Marcus would come back. He'd bet money he didn't have, chasing losses that would only grow. And I'd deal the cards that pushed him deeper into the hole, because that's what I did. That's who I was. A dealer. A father. A man trapped between someone else's addiction and his daughter's life. Thursday came wrapped in dread. I'd spent 2 days watching Emma improve, her fever finally breaking Wednesday morning. But the good medication was running out, 3 pills left, and the pharmacy wanted $340 for the refill. Marcus walked in at 7:45, and I knew immediately something had shifted. His shirt was the same one from last week, wrinkled now. He carried an envelope, the kind landlords slide under doors. Dale was with him, looking uncomfortable. Red, Marcus called out like we were old friends. My lucky dealer. He sat down in his usual spot, Dale beside him reluctantly. The envelope went on the table, Marcus's hand resting on top like he was protecting it. Gonna show Dale how it's done, Marcus announced. He thinks the game's all luck. I started my shuffle. How's everyone tonight? Better now. Marcus pulled $600 from the envelope, laid it on the felt. Change this up. Green chips. $25 chips. Dale watched his friend count them, stack them, arrange them in perfect towers. See, Dale doesn't understand the patterns, Marcus said, placing his first bet, $50. But I've been tracking them. Dealer busts run in cycles. There are no patterns. Randomness looks like patterns to the human brain, but it's just noise. I didn't say this. I dealt the cards. Marcus got 12 against my 7. The book says hit. He studied his cards like they contained secrets. What would you do, Ray? I just deal the cards, sir. Come on. We're friends. What would you do? Dale shifted uncomfortably. Marcus, maybe we should hit me. I dealt him a 9. 21. Sarah, for Christ's sake. I said no. We went in circles for 10 minutes. She offered solutions. I found problems. Finally, she gave up, but not before making me promise to call her once a week. Every Sunday, she said, or I'm flying out there. After we hung up, Diane looked at me with something like sympathy. Family's hard, she said. They want to help, but don't know how. She wants to save me. Can't nobody save you but you, baby. That night, I couldn't handle the shelter. The walls felt too close, the air too thick with other people's desperation. I walked the streets until dawn, thinking about Tommy's graduation, about the family gathered without me, about the life I was supposed to have. A man followed me for 3 blocks around 2 a.m. I ducked into a 24-hour donut shop, stayed until he gave up and left. The owner let me sit in the corner booth, didn't say anything when I nursed one coffee for 3 hours. Sunday came. I called Jennifer from the library. How was the graduation? Beautiful. Tommy asked about you. What did you tell him? That you were sick. We talked about nothing for 5 minutes, both pretending things were normal. Before she hung up, she said, Sarah, I love you. I know. Let me help. I'm okay. Another lie, but easier than the truth. The truth was that I was so far from okay, I couldn't even see it anymore. The truth was that help felt like admitting defeat, and I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. August in Los Angeles was brutal. The concrete radiated heat, the shelter smelled like unwashed bodies and industrial disinfectant, and I'd been wearing the same 3 outfits for 5 months. The food bank on Alameda had become my grocery store, if you could call it that. Canned goods, day-old bread, whatever people donated. I was examining expired yogurt when someone said my name. Sarah? Sarah Chun. I turned, ready to run if needed. But it was Melissa Rodriguez, from Morrison & Associates. We'd worked together 5 years ago, back when I had a desk and a life and teeth that didn't have gaps. I tried to smile with my mouth closed. Melissa. Hi. She looked good. Healthy. Clean clothes that fit, styled hair, makeup that wasn't applied in a cracked mirror. Everything I used to be. Oh my God. I heard about the layoffs. How are you? The question hung between us. I could lie, make excuses, run. Instead, maybe because I was tired, maybe because she'd always been kind, I said, not great. She looked at me then, really looked. Took in the 40 pounds I'd lost, the gray roots I couldn't afford to cover, the clothes that hadn't been properly washed in weeks. Let's get lunch, she said. I'm not hungry. I am. She drove us to a Vietnamese place on Sunset, ordered for both of us without asking. When the food came, pho and spring rolls and iced coffee, I ate like what I was, someone who hadn't had a real meal in weeks. Talk to me, she said. So I did. The whole story poured out between bites. Mom's cancer, the eviction, the car, the shelter, the tooth, the impounded documents, the impossibility of climbing out of a hole that got deeper every day. She listened without interrupting, without the pity I'd been afraid of, without the judgment I'd expected. There's a new firm, she said when I finished. Woodland Hills. They're hiring anyone with experience. They pay weekly. They don't do background checks. I don't have clothes. I don't have a phone that works. I don't have— Stop. She pulled out her wallet, put her credit card on the table. We're going to Target. Melissa, no. Listen, 5 years ago, when my ex left me with nothing, someone helped me. Now I'm helping you. That's how this works. She drove me to Target, bought me an interview outfit, black pants, white blouse, blazer, flats that actually fit. Then CVS for makeup and deodorant. Then Supercuts for a haircut that made me look human again. My roommate's going out of town Tuesday through Thursday, she said. You'll stay with me. Shower, sleep in a bed, get ready for the interview. I can't. You can and you will. The interview was Wednesday. I showed up clean, rested, wearing clothes that fit, smiling with my mouth closed. They asked about the gap in employment. I said I'd been caring for my sick mother, which was partly true. They offered me the job on the spot. $18 an hour, weekly pay, starting Monday. I cried in their bathroom afterward, silent sobs that came from somewhere so deep I didn't know it existed. Not quite relief, not quite hope, but something in between. Melissa drove me back to Path that night. Her roommate was coming home, and 3 nights was all she could offer. First paycheck is in 10 days, she said. You can do 10 days. I've done 5 months. I can do 10 days. She hugged me in the car, and I smelled her shampoo, her clean clothes, her normal life. You're going to be okay, she said that I wanted to believe her. But okay felt impossibly far away, and 10 days felt like forever when you're counting every hour. The 2 weeks between getting hired and getting paid stretched like a month. I told myself it was just 14 more days, 336 more hours, 20,160 more minutes. I'd survived 5 months. 2 weeks should be nothing. But those 2 weeks nearly broke me. Melissa's roommate came back Thursday night, earlier than expected. She stood in the doorway of the guest room, looking at me like I was dangerous. Mel, can we talk? I heard them in the kitchen. The roommate's voice sharp, Melissa's defensive. Words like stranger and homeless and stuff going missing. I wanted to tell her I wasn't a thief, just broken, but there's no difference when you're scared. Just tonight, Melissa said when she came back. I'm sorry. It's fine. You've done enough. Sarah, really. I'll be fine. Friday morning, I was back at Path, back in the lottery, back to not getting a bed. But now I had something I hadn't had before, a job to get to on Monday. The weekend was about preservation. I couldn't get sick, couldn't get hurt, couldn't let anything happen that would stop me from showing up Monday morning looking professional. I spent Saturday at the laundromat on Western, washing my new interview outfit and the 2 other shirts Melissa had bought me. $6 in quarters I'd begged from strangers, claiming I needed bus fare. The shame of lying was less than the shame of showing up to work smelling like the shelter. Sunday was harder. Path was full. Some kind of sweep had happened downtown, pushing more people into the system. No bed, no chair, standing room only in the day room. A woman having a psychotic break threw a chair at 3 a.m. Security restrained her, but not before she'd cleared a space around her that we all avoided. Monday came like a miracle. For 30 a.m. alarm on the Obama phone that decided to work. Shower at Path at 5 a.m. Cold water because the hot ran out. Makeup in the broken mirror. Hair pulled back to hide that it needed washing. The same outfit from the interview. Pressed as well as I could manage. 3 buses to Woodland Hills. 2 hours. I arrived 45 minutes early. Sat in a coffee shop nursing a $2 coffee. Watching normal people head to normal jobs. At AT 7:45. I walked into Clearwater Accounting Services like I belonged there. You must be Sarah, the receptionist said. Welcome aboard. The first week was torture and heaven combined. 8 hours in air conditioning. A desk. A bathroom with soap and paper towels. A break room with free coffee. I wanted to cry from gratitude for things I'd never noticed before, but I was also falling apart. Sleeping at Path, or not sleeping. Eating once a day. Wearing the same 3 shirts in rotation. Smiling with my mouth closed. Praying nobody would get close enough to smell the shelter on me. Friday came. Direct deposit would take another week to set up, so they gave me a paper check. $576 after taxes. I stood at the check-in go, watching them count out the cash minus their fee. $533 in my hand. More money than I'd had in months. The motel was $45 a night, weekly rate of $280. I could afford 1 week and still have money for food, laundry, bus passes. Or I could stay at the shelter, save everything, put together enough for a real deposit somewhere. But I was so tired, so deeply, fundamentally exhausted that I couldn't think straight. 1 week. I told the motel clerk, counting out bills. The room was small, stained, smelled like old smoke. But it had a door that locked, a shower with endless hot water, a bed with sheets that, while thin, were cleaned. I lay down at 3 p.m. that Friday and didn't get up until Saturday afternoon. 13 hours of sleep that felt like coming back from the dead. When I finally showered, 20 minutes of hot water. I watched 5 months of Path circle the drain. Not clean exactly, but cleaner. Not saved, but not drowning. Sunday night, lying in that motel bed, I did the math again. $253 left. Another paycheck Friday. If I could last until then, if nothing went wrong, if I could just hold on a little longer, maybe I could climb out of this hole 1 paycheck at a time. Tomorrow was Monday. Week 2 at Clearwater. I had clean clothes, a shower, an alarm that would work because I could charge my phone. For the first time in 5 months, tomorrow looked possible. September meant decisions. The motel week was ending, and I stood at another crossroads with my second paycheck, $576 in hand. The same math, the same impossible choices. I'd found a sober living house on Craigslist. Victory House in Panorama City, $650 a month, no credit check, no questions asked. The catch, it was for people in recovery. AA meetings mandatory, curfew at 10 p.m., random drug tests that I wasn't an addict, but I was something. Addicted to the myth of next year, maybe. Addicted to believing I had more time than I did. "What's your substance?" asked the house manager, a thick man named Carlos with kind eyes and prison tattoos. But I deleted it. Emma coughed in her sleep, and I went to check her temperature. 101.2. Not hospital bad, but climbing. Tomorrow, Marcus would lose more money. Tomorrow, I'd hate myself a little more. Tomorrow, Emma would need medicine I'd pay for with his pain. That's the math that matters. The only math that ever really matters when you're choosing between your conscience and your kid. Saturday night at Riverside felt like walking into a fever dream. The High Rollers room was hosting some tech company party, their laughter sharp as breaking glass. I clocked in early, needing the money but dreading what I'd have to do to earn it. Mrs. Jeanette looked worried when I dropped Emma off. "She's warm," she'd said, hand on Emma's forehead. "I know. Her medicine's on the counter. Every 6 hours. You work too much." "I work what I have to." Now, standing at table 7, I watched Marcus walk through the doors at exactly 6 o'clock. He looked like he'd aged 5 years in 2 days. Unshaven, same clothes from Thursday, carrying a manila folder instead of his leather portfolio. He sat down without greeting anyone. 5,000. My hand stopped mid-shuffle. "Sir." He opened the folder, revealing a cashier's check. "Cash this. 5,000 in chips." "Marcus." I started, then caught Monica's eye. She was already walking over. "Mr. Chun." She smiled like a shark smelling blood. "Welcome back. We'll get that processed right away." I wanted to tell him about the statistics, how nobody wins back 5,000, how the math doesn't care about desperation. But Stephanie was already bringing his chips from the cage. $5,000 in green and black, stacked like a fortress about to fall. "Lily's college fund," he said quietly, "just to me. But I'll double it tonight. Pay everything back." The first hour was torture. Marcus played perfectly, consulting his strategy card, making optimal decisions. He won some, lost some, stayed roughly even. But even wasn't enough. He needed a miracle. Around 7, Dale showed up. Stood behind Marcus, not saying anything at first. "Jennifer?" Marcus asked without looking back. "She's at her mother's with Lily. They're not answering your calls. After tonight, they will." Marcus pushed 500 forward. Lost. Another 500. Won. The pattern that kills you slowly. Hope measured in chips. "You took Lily's college money," Dale said. "I'm investing it." "In what?" "Math you can't beat." Marcus spun around. "Then why are you here?" "To drive you home when this goes bad." "It won't go bad. Tell him, Ray. Tell him about the streaks." I dealt the cards, said nothing. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Mrs. Chin probably. Emma's fever spiking. But I couldn't check, couldn't leave, couldn't stop dealing by 8 o'clock. Marcus was down 2,000. He'd started drinking, whiskey neat, doubles. His bets got bigger, 500 base, sometimes 1,000. The other players at the table watched nervously, the way people watch a car accident. "Split the tens," he announced, dividing a perfect 20. "That's stupid," Dale said. "It's aggressive." First 10 drew a 5. He doubled down, caught a 4. 19. Second 10 drew an ace. 21. I flipped my cards. 20. He'd won. But it was luck, not skill. The worst kind of win. The kind that convinces you bad plays are smart. Monica brought him another drink, comped of course. The casino loved Marcus now. He was what they called a hot player. Drunk, desperate, betting big. "Your friend's worried about you," I said during a shuffle. Quiet enough the cameras might not catch it. "Dale worries about everything. Wife, kids, mortgage. You know what I worry about? Nothing. Because after tonight, I'll have it all back." 9 o'clock. Marcus was down 3,000. Dale had given up trying to reason with him, just stood there like a witness at an execution. Then the impossible happened. Marcus hit a streak. Blackjack. Blackjack. 21. Dealer bust. Double down winner to in 15 minutes. He was back to even. 5,000 in chips in front of him. He could have walked away, made Lily's college fund whole, gone home. Color me up, Dale begged. Cash out. You're even. Marcus laughed, the sound hollow as an empty wallet. Even isn't winning. He pushed 2,000 forward. Marcus, please, I didn't come here to break even. I dealt him 20. A perfect hand. I showed a 6, the worst dealer card. By the book, this was golden. I flipped my whole card. 5. 11 total. Drew a 10. 21. The table went silent. Marcus stared at the cards, then pushed another 2,000 forward. Again. That's 4,000 in play, Dale said. You only have 1,000 left. Then I better win. 18 against my 19. 20 against my 21. Doubled 11. Caught a 5. Lost to my 17 to I in 3 hands. For 1,000 gone. 1,000 left of his daughter's future. Last chance, Dale said. Walk away with something. Marcus looked at his remaining chips, then at me. For a second, I saw him clearly. A man drowning in his own choices, reaching for anything solid. What would you do, Ray? Really? I could have lied. Could have encouraged him. Monica was watching, waiting for me to do my job. I'd go home, I said. Monica's face darkened. Marcus blinked, surprised by honesty from a dealer. Then he pushed the last 1,000 forward. All of it. I dealt the cards. Marcus got 11, the best starting hand. He had to double down, but he had no more money. I'll stake you, said a voice. Tommy, off duty, watching from the rail. 1,000 to double. Standard terms. Casino terms. 50% interest. Due immediately. Marcus nodded, took the money, doubled down. The card came out in slow motion. A 3. 14 total. I flipped my cards. $17.5 thousand. Gone. Plus another 1,000 owed to Tommy. Marcus sat there for a full minute, staring at nothing. Then he stood up, walked out without a word. Dale followed. I dealt the rest of my shift on autopilot. At 2 a.m., I cashed out, found $60 in my tip envelope. $60 for helping destroy a family. I in the parking lot. Marcus was sitting in his car, not moving. I walked over, knocked on the window. You okay? He looked at me with empty eyes. My daughter's birthday was today, 12 years old. I pulled 3 20s from my tip money, handed them through the window. Ray, take it. I had a system, he said. It should have worked. They never work. Then why do you deal? I thought about Emma, probably fevered and asking for me. About medicine that cost more than hope. About choices that weren't really choices. Because I have to. I walked to my car. Drove home through empty streets. Mrs. Chun was asleep on my couch. Emma curled beside her. Breathing rough, but steady. Fever broke at midnight. Mrs. Chun whispered. She asked for you. I paid her $40 I couldn't spare, carried Emma to her bed. Sat in the kitchen staring at bills and pill bottles and the $60 that came from Marcus's college fund. Monday, he'd probably be back. They always came back, chasing losses with money they didn't have, and I'd deal the cards, because Emma needed medicine. Because the pharmacy didn't take conscience as payment. Because that's what I did. Sunday morning came with Emma throwing up again, the medicine rejecting her as much as she rejected it. Her fever had shot back to 103, and I knew the routine. ER for fluids. Bills we couldn't pay. But this time, sitting in the waiting room, I saw Marcus. He was in the corner with a girl about Emma's age. Lily, had to be. She had his eyes, but her mother's worried expression. Her arm was in a makeshift sling. Our eyes met. He looked away first. Playground accident, he said when I sat near them. Jennifer's parking the car. Marcus, don't. Just don't. Lily was studying me. Are you Daddy's friend from work? Something like that. He said he was working late to buy me presents. She looked at her father. But Mom says the money's gone. Marcus's face crumbled. Before he could respond, Jennifer walked in. She saw me, recognized something in my face. Maybe the dealer's exhaustion, maybe just another parent in crisis. You work at the casino, she said. Not a question. He lost Lily's college fund. $5,000. Her voice was steady, controlled, the calm before devastation. Did you deal those cards? Emma's name got called before I could answer. But I felt their eyes on me as I carried my daughter back to Tria. The ER doctor was the same one from last week. We need to admit her this time. I can't afford. Mr. Martinez, her white cell count is dangerously low. This isn't about money anymore. But everything was about money. The admission would cost thousands. The treatment more. I signed the papers anyway, watched them hook Emma to monitors and IVs, tried not to calculate the mounting debt. Around noon, Marcus appeared in Emma's doorway. Jennifer took Lily home, he said. Hairline fracture. She'll be fine. Marcus, you shouldn't be here. I wanted to apologize. For what? He laughed, bitter. For thinking I was different. Special. Like the math would bend for me. Emma stirred, opened her eyes. Daddy, I'm here, baby. She saw Marcus. Who's that? A friend from work. Marcus stepped closer. You like dolphins? He'd noticed her book on the bedside table. Emma nodded. My daughter loves them too. Says they're smarter than people. She's right. Emma said, then closed her eyes again. Marcus stood there awkwardly, then pulled something from his pocket. 3 20s. My tip money from last night. I can't take this back. You need it more than me. For what? I owe 6,000 now. Tommy's calling it due tomorrow. Jennifer's filing for separation. I've got nothing left to lose. A nurse came in to check Emma's for. We stepped into the hallway. Why did you do it? I asked. Why keep going when you were even? Because even wasn't enough. It never is. You start thinking about all the money you lost before, all the times you walked away down. You need to win it all back, prove it meant something. It never means anything. Easy for you to say. You're on the winning side. My daughter's dying, and I can't afford to save her. Nobody's on the winning side. We stood there, two fathers ruined by the same game from different angles. I'm going to GA, Marcus said finally. Gamblers Anonymous. Jennifer's making it a condition of seeing Lily. Good. You should quit dealing. And do what? Stock shelves? Flip burgers? Emma needs medicine that costs more than minimum wage pays. So you'll keep dealing? Until she's better or I'm dead. Marcus looked through the doorway at Emma, pale and small in the hospital bed. What's wrong with her? Autoimmune disorder. Her body attacks itself. Like gambling. Yeah, like gambling. His phone buzzed. Jennifer, probably. Or Tommy wanting his money. I should go, he said. Jennifer's letting me see Lily for an hour. Marcus, the money you lost was going to disappear anyway. If not last night, then next week. Or next month. He paused at the elevator. You know what the worst part is? I still think I can win it back. Even now, broke and broken, I'm doing math in my head. That's the sickness, Ray. Not the losing. The believing. After he left, I sat with Emma while she slept. The monitors beeped steadily, each sound adding dollars to bills I'd never pay. But she was breathing. The medicine was working, slowly. Doctor Kim came by with forms. There's an experimental treatment. Clinical trial. No cost if she qualifies. What's the catch? 50-50 chance she gets the placebo. 50-50. Better odds than blackjack. Sign us up. That night, the hospital's financial counselor found me in the cafeteria, eating a $2 vending machine sandwich. Mr. Martinez, about your balance. I know. I'll figure it out. There's a foundation. For families like yours. They might cover 60%. And the other 40. Payment plan. 50 a month minimum. Another payment plan. I'd collection them like bad cards. Fine. Back in Emma's room, she was awake, watching cartoons. Daddy, am I going to die? The question hit like a dealer's 21 when you're holding 20. No, baby. You're going to get better. Promise. I thought about Marcus, promising his daughter things he couldn't deliver. Thought about the math that never worked in anyone's favor. Thought about hope and odds and the desperate bets parents make. I promise. She smiled and went back to SpongeBob. I sat in the uncomfortable chair, watching her breathe, counting the cost of each breath, each pill, each promise I might not be able to keep. Tomorrow, I'd be back at table 7. Someone else would lose their savings, their marriage, their future. I'd deal the cards that made it happen, collect my tips, pay for Emma's medicine with their misery. That's the cycle. That's the trap. That's the only math that matters when you're choosing between your soul and your daughter's life. Marcus was right. We were all gambling. The only difference was which side of the table we stood on. Tuesday arrived with Emma still in the hospital and me out of sick days. Monica called 3 times before I answered. Ray, I need you here. We're slammed. My daughter's hospitalized. I'm sorry about that, really. But I've got a business to run. You've missed 4 shifts this month. 3. And they were all for Emma. Company policy allows 2. You coming in or not? I looked at Emma, sleeping fitfully despite the morphine drip they'd added for pain. The nurse said I could leave for a few hours, that she'd call if anything changed. I'll be there at 8. 4-hour shift, that's all. 6 hours, or don't bother. I hung up, kissed Emma's forehead, Told the nurse I'd have my phone on vibrate. The casino. Everything felt surreal. The lights too bright. The sounds too sharp. Tommy was dealing at my usual table. Heard your kid's sick, he said during shift change. Yeah, that why you've been soft on the players? Monica's noticed. Ideal cards, Tommy. Same as you. Not the same. I don't warn them off. Table 7 had a different energy without Marcus. Just tourists and regulars, nobody betting their life away. I dealt on autopilot, mind at the hospital. Around 10, Dale showed up. Alone. How's Marcus? I asked. Bad. Tommy's people came by his house. Jennifer called the cops. But what's she going to say? Her husband owes a gambling debt. How much is Tommy charging? 100 a day interest. Marcus owes 8 grand now. I wanted to say something, but Monica was hovering. Dale didn't play, just watched me deal for a few minutes. Then left at 11:30, my phone buzzed. The hospital. I stepped back from the table, answered despite Monica's glare. Mr. Martinez? Emma's asking for you. Her fever spiked again. I'll be right there. I looked at Monica. I have to go. You leave now, don't come back. My daughter, everyone's got problems, Ray. You walk out that door, you're done. The players at my table watched uncomfortably. Dolores spoke up. For God's sake, let him go to his kid. This isn't your business, ma'am. I pulled off my bow tie, set it on the table. Then my dealer's vest. 7 years of dealing, gone in 10 seconds. Ray, Monica started. Deal your own cards. Ray Martinez dealt cards at Riverside Casino for 7 years, telling himself the money was for his daughter Emma's medical treatment. When Emma developed a rare autoimmune disease requiring expensive medications, Ray justified staying in a job that slowly destroyed his soul, watching desperate people lose everything at his table. The breaking point came with Marcus Chun, a regular player who lost his daughter Lily's college fund chasing a system that couldn't fail. Ray tried subtle warnings, but Marcus was deep in gambling addiction's grip. The night Marcus brought a gun to the casino, planning suicide to escape his debts, Ray intervened. He took the weapon and convinced Marcus that his 12-year-old daughter needed him alive, not debt-free. Ray walked away from dealing that night, getting fired for violating casino protocol. He took a minimum wage job at Target, half the money but, as he told himself, all of his soul. Meanwhile, Marcus started a GoFundMe for Emma's treatment that raised enough for her medications. The community of dealers and even Monica, the pit boss, contributed, but Tommy, the loan shark Marcus owed $8,000, wouldn't disappear. When Tommy threatened Emma by visiting her school, Ray took on Marcus's debt himself, agreeing to pay $100 weekly for 2 years. He picked up extra shifts and side work, including a painful return to casino training sessions that paid well but reminded him why he'd left. Marcus found recovery slowly, 90 days clean. Then a warehouse job, supervised visits with Lily. But addiction doesn't follow straight lines. When his mother died and left him $40,000, Marcus relapsed spectacularly, losing everything in one night. Ray watched helplessly as 7 months of recovery crumbled. The cycle continued. Marcus to treatment, Ray making weekly payments to Tommy, Emma's health stabilizing thanks to successful treatment. When Tommy was arrested in a police raid of underground gambling operations, the new management cleared Ray's debt with blood money. $10,000 he accepted despite its origin because Emma needed security. The story spans months of small victories and crushing setbacks. Emma achieved remission. Marcus reached varying milestones of sobriety, including a devastating relapse that cost him his marriage but not his relationship with Lily. Ray learned that saving someone else doesn't guarantee they'll stay saved. Addiction is a daily choice. Recovery a perpetual struggle. Thanksgiving. Their chosen family gathered. Ray, Emma, Marcus, Lily, and even Jennifer with her new husband. They counted blessings and recovery days, acknowledging both clean time and relapses because pretending failures didn't happen made future ones easier. The story ends with Tommy calling from the shadows, a reminder that the past never fully releases its grip. But in Ray's small apartment, surrounded by this imperfect family built from wreckage, they'd won something more valuable than money. The fight to remain human in a system designed to strip away humanity. Sometimes the house doesn't win. Sometimes love, stubborn persistence, and choosing others over yourself creates a different kind of victory. Fragile, temporary, but real enough to keep going.